Legends, Joey here from the Ruck Infringement Podcast, bringing you our Ruck report for this week. Now, I know it's late, sorry, I've had some family stuff, but kids are in bed, ready to go. Now, let's jump all the way back into Thursday night footy. What a weekend it was, Anzac weekend, of course. Look, Thursday night footy, Broncos v Bulldogs. I think heading into this one, a lot of people were impressed with how good the doggies have been going, undefeated at the moment. But I think it just had that feel about it that, you know, the more that they won, the closer that they were to losing. And I think that's that's where they ended up in this one. You know, the Broncos came out to prove a point, losing 2 on the trot. They wanted a big win. No Reece Walsh, no Jordan Ricky. Not many people gave them a chance, but they played really well. Broncos getting it done, 13 plus in this one, a massive win. And I was really impressed with the grit and determination of them. I thought the Dogs were going to come out and sort of grind what they do with their opposition quite a bit. They grind teams into the corner. Their defence is fantastic, but in this one they just lost their way. A couple of sin bins, a few injuries. I know Tupanua, he's set for a big stint on the sideline. A couple of I think he got sin binned twice, or he got sin binned once and then put on report twice. So pretty wild scenes there. Look, wet weather footy. The Dogs came back hard. I thought Broncos took the foot off the gas in the second half, but in the end they had it done quite convincingly. Friday footy, Anzac Day. What a day it was. Of course, the first game, Roosters v Dragons, always a special match. Of course, my Chookies getting the win in this one, massive performance. They needed to win, otherwise they could have been looking at the bottom of the table. So great to see them there getting a win against the Dragons, and it's always a special game. You know, they wear the Bondi blue. St George are always up for this. You throw form out the window, form right out the window in this one. Anyone can win it. And in this, it was exactly the same. I thought Sandon Smith had his best game in a Roosters jersey. He was absolutely incredible. He even got sin-binned, scored 2 tries, just had an electric game. James Tedesco in his 100th game as Roosters captain, which I think got forgotten in this game as well. But he was absolutely incredible as well. So, you know, the skipper really standing up in this one. I thought a couple of the forward pack for the Roosters were doing really well. And let's talk about this Roosters outfit for a bit, because, you know, a lot of people are making, you know, this season, they've lost 8 players in the off-season. The Roosters won't go well, blah, blah. And it's proved that way so far, hasn't it? But I think these young forwards are really starting to click. They're starting to understand how this team works. In this, we saw combinations working. Dom Young dropped during the week. Mark Nwangani Tawaze picked on the wing, which I thought was a fantastic pick for them, and a fantastic position for him to play. He's such a strong player, and he looks like he's going from strength to strength since coming over from rugby union. For the Dragons, I was disappointed. I expected more. I really thought this was going to be a tight game. I actually had Roosters by 1 in this game. I don't know what it was. Dragons fans, if you're out there, please put some comments in. I'll read your comments as well on these lives. Put your comments in, because I don't know where it went wrong for the Dragons. Gufferson, you know, he's been pretty good this season so far. Looked all at sea. Blake Steep even got a dummy past him and scored a try, which was very un-Guffo-like. Damien Cook probably didn't have a great game. I thought Val Holmes was a bit quiet. So, Dragons fans, tell me where you go from here. I know Ilias in a bit of, I wouldn't say hot water, but looking at probably being dropped, I think Fino's a bit off Ilias at the moment, and the way that the Dragons halves are performing. So it'd be interesting to see a change, if there is one made, for them in the halfback position. Of course, you know, he came over this year, big high hopes of cracking it and doing well, but it's just not working at the moment. Well, let's jump into our second Friday night game. It was the Warriors against Newcastle Knights. Now, the Warriors just keep on going strong, don't they? I mean, up the wires, second outright on the table and looking absolutely brilliant. But again, the Knights, they are looking poor at the moment. Look, I've got a real soft spot for Newcastle. I like what they produce week in and week out, but they're just not there at the moment, are they? I mean, I'm not sure what's going on with Kalen Ponga, but usually all the attack goes through Ponga. It's very interesting to see this Newcastle outfit, and if the team's not firing, Ponga's not firing, then there's just no Newcastle Knights team, and that's sort of where it is at the moment. Knights fans, I'm friends with a lot of you, and I think what I want to know from you guys is where what does this team need to do moving forward? Because there's lots of talk about Adam O'Brien getting the sack, but if what I heard during the week is correct, apparently if he gets sacked before 2027, the club has to pay him out $2 million, which I can't see the club doing that. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens there with O'Brien. I think that is the answer. I think O'Brien does need to get a sack. Brad Arthur, of course, has been rumoured to take over that spot. His son, Matt Arthur, is now the 14 at the Newcastle Knights. So it'll be interesting to see where the Knights go from here. But look, credit to the Warriors. They are killing it. New Zealand becoming an absolute fortress for them. They played in Christchurch in this game, and it was really great to see New Zealand hosting an Anzac game. We always saw them play Melbourne on Anzac Day, always in Melbourne, but really, really great to see the Warriors hosting their own Anzac game, in honour of our Anzacs. Shout out to the Back Yourself podcast boys. They said, agreed, mate, he needs to go. I'm assuming that's O'Brien, but I just think the Newcastle Knights need a change. I think that's where it needs to start for them. Shout out to CLZ Pit Jerseys 95 up the wires. That's it, brother. It was fantastic performance from them. But let's jump into our last Friday night game. It was a Storm against the Rabbitohs. Now, the Storm heading into this game had won 19 in a row at Amy Park against the Rabbits. The Rabbits had never won at Amy Park in 19 starts. And look, Storm were looking to make it 20, but geez, they did it hard for themselves, didn't they? Off the back of a loss last week against the Dolphins, I thought Storm were going to come out and absolutely destroy South Sydney in this game. I thought South Sydney were going to have no chance. The Souths came pretty close to winning this. I mean, they weren't bad by any standards, but I don't know if it was that Souths weren't bad or Storm just couldn't click, because Storm just didn't look like the outfit that we saw at the start of the year. So, well, no Harry Grant, and I get that, but again, just too many errors from Melbourne, and we don't see that much for Melbourne, so it was very strange. They still got the win in this one, and good for my tips. I mean, I was 3 from 4 heading into this game, which was great, but it was very unlike Melbourne Storm. I think for South Sydney, big talking point, Latrell Mitchell again with that high tackle getting sin bin put on report. So he's looking at, I think it's 1 or 2 weeks, 1 with early guilty plea, 2 if he fights it or something like that. But really, really interesting. CLZ Pit Jersey 95, so far so good for the Warriors. Rabbits still looking for form also, but Storm play that running footy. Very, very true. And Back Yourself said, what is interesting is that Storm haven't played a full 80 minutes the whole year, and they are still second on the ladder. Exactly. And I think that's what I was saying in that instance, is that it's so crazy to see how this team that we know, we know how good Melbourne Storm are and how good they've been over a long period of time, but they're second, and that wasn't an even performance at all. The Rabbitohs almost beat them with an understrength side. So, yeah, look, very interesting. Mick Makes Art said Trell equals grub. Well, I'm not going to go and say that on a live platform, but maybe inbox me later, mate. But let's jump into some Saturday footy, and look, 2 games on Saturday, 2 awesome games here. The first one we started off was the Cowboys and the Titans. Now, Cowboys off the bye, the Titans off 3 losses, desperate for a win. I thought Titans started so well in this game. They looked absolutely fantastic. But the Cowboys, I cannot believe what we have seen. The resurgence from the Cowboys to start the year 0-3 or 0-4, I believe it was. And then to be where they are now, I think that's 3 or 4 wins in a row. Just absolutely flying at the moment. A massive win. They've essentially ruled the Titans out of winning the comp, putting 50 points on them, scoring right at the end, which was incredible stuff. But what I've been interested with the Cowboys is the way that their young forwards have really gone about it. Jeremiah Nenai, a lot of people were talking about him not really hitting the heights that we've seen over the past couple of years. His origin spot was in contention. Then he comes out in this game, scores a double, and plays absolutely brilliant. So it was really interesting to see. I mean, Scotty Drinkwater, he's absolutely killing it at the moment. But Jackson Purgeau, I mean, what a kid. What a kid Jackson Purgeau is. I mean, we should have been talking about this kid for a long time, and I think we will be. He was absolutely on fire again. For the Titans, look, it's tough. I don't know where they go from here. Desi Hasler, the mad scientist, I mean, we know what Desi can produce. I personally think, and I said this I don't know if you guys have listened to last week's podcast. If you haven't, go back and check out episode 106. It's an absolute beauty. But we spoke about Desi, and And where I think the Titans need to go is Foran's back in a couple of weeks. Foran needs to move to 5'8". I think Brimson needs to go to fullback. With no Keeney there, I think Brimson needs to go back there. He's just not hitting the heights at fullback, which is very, very strange. But I wouldn't mind to see him there. I mean, I like DeGroot. I like what he's done, but you can play DeGroot anywhere. You could play him on the wing or in the centres as well. Back Yourself Podcast said Titans look the same with Des as they did with Holbrook, in my opinion. Yeah, look, I tend to agree. I don't think they've really set the world alight. They changed coaches, and we know the coaching resume of Desi Hasler, but it just hasn't worked, has it? CLZ Pit Jerseys, Cowboys are slowly pecking. Jackson is the future. Absolutely, mate. Could not agree more. Now, jump into our second Saturday game, and what an upset this was. Manly v Panthers. The CommBank curse continues. The Panthers cannot win at CommBank. I mean, they just can't win this season, can they? I mean, beat my Chooks last week, and, I'd like to say we started the losing streak in round 2, and then we ended it last week, but that's all right. Back Yourself Podcast, my upset alert went down on this game. Yeah, mate, I did not expect an upset in this one. I thought after Panthers won last week, I expected them to be pretty clinical in this game. I thought they'd get through Manly, but look, credit to Manly. I don't know where this has been the past couple of weeks, because Manly in our podcast has been sort of our dung team for the past 3 or 4 weeks so far. They haven't really been where we know that they can be. And I know Tommy was back, and, there's massive stats. 71% of games they've won when Tommy's there, and 33% they've lost when he's not there. But I don't know if Tommy was so much the difference, as I just think this Panthers team and the wear and tear at the moment is just catching up on them. I know people have said this, but the wear and tear is just catching up. I think that's all it is. You can only dominate for so long, and they've dominated for 5 years, won 4 of those and been in 5 grand finals in a row. They've dominated for a long, long time. And I just think it's finally caught up on them. I don't think it's anything that they're doing. I know Luai was a massive loss for me. I know they've lost a lot of quality players over the past couple of years in Kikau, Coruscant, Matty Burton, Crichton. You look at all those, and then Fish and Luai this year. But I think Luai for me was such a massive loss. In the period where they lost 5 in a row earlier this season, when Cleary went down, they didn't have a halfback to cover that role as Luai could. Coming through the grades, I know a lot of Penrith fans, and I actually live in the area, so I know a bit about the team, but coming through the grades, Luai was actually the player that was touted as the next best thing, not Cleary. Cleary had to work a lot harder than Luai did. Luai was the one that everyone wanted to sign in their team. So you can see the talent that Luai's always had, which is really, really interesting, isn't it? So, look, Mick makes art. We're coming back, mate. Look, I don't know. It was a quality win. I wouldn't say you're back just yet. Back Yourself Podcast, Manly best offensive team in the competition. Yeah, look, doing very well, and they can attack from anywhere, can't they? I mean, when you got players like Turbo in your team and Cooler, I love Cooler. The speed of that guy, just absolutely on fire. CLZ Pit Jerseys, Panthers lost a lot of players, and some to the Doggies. Dylan Brown should have went to Panthers, I think. Yeah, interesting one, isn't it, the whole Dill Brown saga. Look, keep listening to our podcast every week, because we've been talking a lot about that. I personally can't, and this is no swipe to my Newcastle fans, but I cannot see Knights winning a comp in those 10 years with Brown there. I don't know if that's the answer. I don't know if that's the way they go. It can be interesting. But yeah, the Panthers, look, another loss. They moved to 17th on the ladder. I'm not going to say that with a smile on my face. Oh, sorry, I just did. But look, it's a long way from the bottom to get to the top 8. I think I read today they need to win 11 of the next 16 to make finals. If there's a team that can do it, it's Penrith. I don't know if it happens this year. I think they may just scrape into the 8. I did have them at 5th in my predictions at the start of the season. But let's jump into some Sunday footy. Now, how good was Sunday footy today? Let's start off with our first game, the Raiders and the Dolphins. Oh my God. The Dolphins. They have been on fire the past few weeks. They've beaten Melbourne and Penrith in consecutive weeks. And, I've been really high on them. I've said the Dolphins are coming here. The Dolphins are doing real well. After starting the season 0-4, they're a team that's done great. But this game they should have won. I mean, up 28 points. Insane. I cannot believe they lost this and did not score a point in the second half. Jake Averillo scores that try right before halftime, I think the 39th minute, and then they don't score another try. Raiders come out second half, score 30 points in a row, 30 unanswered points, and, in the past, the Raiders had been called the Faders. You know, they're very typical of losing that sort of game. But it was really good to see what they're doing, and I think what they're doing this year has been incredible. I mean, they're not a team that I've had in the top 8 this year, and I've got egg on my face at the moment. I know it's only early days, we're only in round 8, round 9, but I did not have the Raiders in my top 8 at all. They are absolutely killing it. Seals said, Pit Jerseys 95 said, Dolphins, I thought they had that game, but no, exactly, mate. They were up and they probably should have won, but excuse me, sorry everyone, but credit to the Raiders in this fantastic win, and they just keep on keeping on, don't they? I mean, you look at the players in their team. Hudson Young, throw him in a multi every week he scores. I threw him in this week, of course, doesn't get one, does he? But Seb Chris has been on fire. I thought Joseph Tarpany, he's been really good. Matt Nicholson, who's come over from the English Super League, he has been absolutely incredible for this Raiders outfit. We know the Raiders love their English imports, and he is absolutely killing it. Got another try today. He was absolutely outstanding in this game. Jamal Fogarty, the man rumoured to be going to Manly on a $2 million deal, he was great too. Another try for him, and just a great kicking performance as well. But look, that's not taking away from the Dolphins' first half. I think their first half was incredible. We know there was a bit of a shuffle early in the week with a couple of players out. Sean O'Sullivan came into the halves. Max Plath was ruled out as well. So there was a bit of a reshuffle in the team. But, I mean, that's no excuse. I mean, these players are, first graders, so they should be able to adapt to that. But the Dolphins just couldn't get there in the end, and another tip right. But let's jump into our last game of the week. What a game this was. Tigers v Sharks. Now, all my Tigers fans, you should be absolutely cheering. I'll tell you what, that was a heart racer. I'm not a Tigers fan, and even my heart was going 100 miles an hour. That was absolutely incredible to see them win that in Golden Point with a penalty goal. But look, the big talking point again in this is just refereeing. Sin bins galore. It's just incredible this week. I think I heard a stat, there's been 18 sin bins this round, which is just crazy. I mean, it's probably time for the crackdown to finish, in my opinion, but yeah, it's probably not going to for a couple of weeks, and the refs unfortunately are protected species. As much as I honour what they do, it's crazy at the moment. But the Tigers, fantastic win in this one. It was a big game. Galvin recalled, and it galvanised the team, didn't it? I mean, that's the talk all week. They couldn't win last week against the Eels without Galvin. He comes back this week and they win. So make do with that what you will. I tipped the Tigers in this one. As soon as they named Galvin, I tipped them, because I think you've got, as a club, you've got to be bigger than off-field dramas, and you got to be a team, and a team is on the field, not so much off the field. So I think the whole Galvin thing, it's just play footy, the Tigers, and as Benji said, you need to pick the best every week. So do that. If Galvin is your best player, then he gets picked. And I think he steadied that ship today. It would have been great to see him kick a field goal just to rub it into the Tigers fans a little bit more. I mean, credit to them. But let's talk about the Sharks now. They've looked really good the past couple of weeks. I think 3 on the trot for them. This game just looked a bit underdone. I mean, all the talk's been on Nico all year, hasn't it? Is he a halfback? Should he be at fullback? Should they move Atkinson? I wouldn't move him now. A couple of weeks ago, I talked about moving him to fullback maybe, but it's really, really interesting, isn't it? Because, I think Will Kennedy's actually had a really good year. I thought the past 12 months he had been a bit quiet, but I thought Kennedy's had a really, really good start to this year, and it's been really good to see. So I don't know about moving Nico so much. Mick Makes Art said, Fox commentators said it during the game, they need to have a recalibration with the rule. It's getting out of hand and it's ruining the game. Absolutely, mate. Couldn't agree more. CLZ Pit Jerseys 95, Sharks boy that game. How many times? Oh, mate, incredible. Just when you think the Sharks are coming back, they're going to win, it's 18-all. They drop the ball, they give away a penalty. It was insane. Shout out to Jai from the Blindside podcast, good mate of mine, avid Sharks fan. He's doing it tough tonight. He's doing it tough. He's drinking a couple of whiskeys, I think. I haven't heard from him in a while, so do a welfare check very soon. Yeah, boy, Goody said the Sharks fold under pressure. I believe the Eels will get up next week. Mate, massive call, eh? If that comes through, good luck. It'll be really good to see. Yeah, look, Sharks, they're an interesting team. They're a team that I love to watch because I think they've got some absolute superstars. I love their forward pack. Adam Fanua-Blake, Tommy Hazelton off the bench is always great, isn't it? But it's just insane. Will Kennedy be a good pick for the new Bears team? Yeah, interesting there, isn't it, about the Bears? Shout out to NRL for finally getting a deal done with the Western Australian government. I think that's fantastic to have they're not going to be called the Western Bears, they said. Probably the Perth Bears or the WA Bears is most likely at the moment. And I think that's awesome. But, just in finishing on this game, Tigers winning the Golden Point, Terrell May. Absolutely incredible. Just keeps on keeping on. Every week he's going to new heights, and if he's not named in the front row for New South Wales, I don't know what more he could have done this season, because he's absolutely carving up. But that's it for our round of footy. Let's do a couple of talking points before we finish up. The big one, the WA Bears, I want to talk about. Perth Bears, really excited. Great to see the Bears back. Red and Black Bears just joined the stream too, so shout out there. Look, we're just about to talk about the Perth Bears, and really, really great news, because, the young guy in me and probably a few of you, we all remember the North Sydney Bears and what a great team that was, and it's such nostalgia, isn't it? Bringing back the red and black, keeping the same name as the Bears, although they won't be in North Sydney. It is great to see the expansion going ahead, and I think Perth's a great spot. And I really think this team could get some really good marquee players. They've got to do it well though, because we've tried Perth before. We had the Western Reds. It didn't really take off in the Super League era. I know there was a lot that went on during the Super League, but they need to do this well. They need to make it viable for Western Australia, and if they can do that, it'll be really good to see. Your boy Goody said WA Bears will have a good run of home games based off how Magic Round goes in WA, with teams struggling in the heat. Absolutely, mate. I completely agree. And look, they can probably use Optus Stadium, which is so massive. We know we have double headers. We had a double header there a couple of weeks ago in Perth. So Optus Stadium is definitely viable for the Bears. It would be great to see how they go there. The other talking point, obviously, the sin bins from the week 18. I think we've spoken enough about that. Where do we think they go from here, though? I mean, surely there's got to be, as Mick said before, there's got to be a recalibration of the rules somewhere. There's got to be an interpretation that's not so grey area. It's got to be black and white. What is a sin bin, what's not. They can't just call every high tackle a sin bin, because there's somewhere you see players fall into it. Like, it's so difficult, isn't it? But 18 in a round is just crazy. I mean, and it's giving advantages to teams all across the park. Although, we saw, I believe it was the Sharks game today. Sharks got a sin bin and then they scored not long after that. So, credit to them. And same with the Roosters. I think Sandon went off and the Roosters scored 2 tries in that period. But, they've got to look at this. They've got to look at the rule, because for me, it's ruining the game, and it's not great to see. We never want to see our game the way it is with these rules. So, yeah, look, really interesting there. And probably the last one, just looking forward to Magic Round coming up. Going to be awesome. We will not be there this year, but we're hoping to get there next year. But if you are around the area, say hi to all your podcasting mates and all your content creators who are heading out there. Great to see. Massive turnout at Magic Round, going to be awesome. All us New South Welshmen get to the Caxton Street Hotel. Give it to those Queenslanders. It'd be great to see. Your boy Goody said the refs are clearly struggling with the new rules. Sometimes you got to understand some shitty calls with the new rules. Yeah, look, I get that, mate. And I really feel like the refs are scared. I think they're scared to make a call because they know the backlash that they cop in general. And I think they're really scared to make a call sometimes. And they're worried about, what's the backlash that's going to come of this and yada, yada, yada. But look, they've got to do something. But yeah, Magic Round should be awesome. Round 9, it's going to be a great week of rugby league. Our recording is tomorrow night, Monday night, so that episode will drop on Wednesday. So we will do a listener questions post tomorrow on our story. So make sure you check that out. Get all your questions in. And if you don't already, go follow us on all social media here at Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and X. Of course, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube as well. YouTube is absolutely flying at the moment. Check us out. Check out our sponsors. Lots of discount codes going as well. So, look, guys, it's been awesome. This is the Ruck Report for another week. Until next time, be good.